Hey there, it's Laverne McKinnon. I'm a career coach and a certified grief recovery specialist, and I am delighted to be welcoming you to the Moonshot Mentor blogcast. I like to share stories and insights and tools to help people achieve their dreams. And one of the hard truths about that is that you are probably going to experience failure, mistakes, and face plants along the way. So it's really critical to mourn those losses, which is why I'm both a coach and a grief doula. So I like to refer to this podcast as a blogcast because I'm reading my blog out loud for those who prefer listening over reading. This week, I share about my relationship with uncertainty, especially as it relates to time frames. I just want to know how long something's going to take, even if it means I have to suffer the entire time. At least I'll know how long it's going to take to get to the other side. But of course, that's not how uncertainty works, especially around grief. There are no time horizons for grief, and it's different for everyone. However, allowing your grief to be witnessed and validated can make the journey and relationship with uncertainty not so lonely or uncomfortable. So check it out. As I just said, it's the uncertainty that makes me nuts. Tell me I need to run back-to-back marathons, and I'll tell you it sucks. But if that's what I need to do to achieve my dreams, I'll do it. When I was a snotty kid in high school, I grilled burgers and swept the floors at McDonald's to save money for college. I was told that a degree from a university would create opportunities for me and help me get a good, secure job. I didn't love that my skin and hair smelled like grease after my shift, but I worked crafty jobs for several years because I believed it would lead me to something better. When I was in college, I worked the midnight shift at one of those TV shopping shows, sort of like a low-rent QVC, and I set up the merchandise for the close-up camera. Everyone was really nice and fun, but I was getting about 4 hours of sleep a night. I was told how important it was to have production credits when I graduated. It was tough to go to class with no sleep for 6 months, but I did it. When I moved to Los Angeles to work in the entertainment industry, I took a 50% pay cut to get my foot in the door. I was told that if I worked as an assistant at an agency for at least 1 year, it would open up doors for me and I would be able to launch my Hollywood career. The pay was bullshit, but I did it. So yeah, I'm willing to do the tough stuff as long as I know how it's going to get me to the greater goal and how long I'll have to do it for. But no one ever tells me the real time frame. I think it's because no one really knows, and who wants to admit they know nothing? How many times has a doctor said to you, give it a few days? Or after submitting a script or a pitch or a project, you hear, let me look at it over the weekend. Or after a job interview, they say, we'll get back to you next week. And then, of course, that time frame rarely comes to pass and you're left hanging. I hate not knowing how long discomfort and pain might last. The not knowing has been a real gut-wrenching problem when I've been laid off, downsized, fired, or even quit. I immediately go into panic mode, wanting to know how long the job search will take. Having been out of work several times in my career, my biggest takeaway is not about networking, the quality of my resume, working my relationships, being flexible, treating the job search like a job, or being patient and persistent. It's about mental and emotional wellness in the form of grieving professional setbacks. Grief is the normal reaction to a significant loss, even when it's of your own choice. And everyone experiences grief differently based on their upbringing, social constructs, and belief systems. Imagine grief is a broken bone. If it's not set properly, you'll experience limited movement and pain. You might be able to function, but it's clearly not at 100%. However, even when it is set properly and you regain full use of that part of your body, an X-ray taken years later will reveal that it was broken. Grief doesn't go away, but mourning will help you return to wholeness. If you don't give yourself permission to acknowledge the loss and try to just walk it off, you are not allowing the broken bone to set correctly. So even if you can function, it makes everything in life more difficult, especially around negative self-talk. There are many mistaken beliefs around grief, like the time it takes, and this is where uncertainty comes in. There's no prescribed timeline. Some people mourn and return to wholeness in a matter of days or weeks. Others, like me, I take years. For full disclosure, I didn't have any tools or skills to mourn and actually didn't recognize that the significant losses in my career were worthy of grieving. I really wish I could tell you that if you go to therapy or join a support group, that you're going to feel better after a few sessions. I wish I could tell you if you went away for a long weekend of journaling, you'll feel better. I wish I could tell you that if you dedicated the next 3 years of your life creating some type of nonprofit that addresses the thing that broke your heart, that you'll feel better. And the truth is, you might feel better for a short amount of time, but the grief is going to come back in different waves. It ebbs and flows. So no one really knows. There is no prescribed timeline. What I do know is that when you allow your feelings of sadness, despair, anger, and upset, and longing to be validated and witnessed, you will start the process of resetting that broken bone of professional loss. So the validation and witnessing can come in many forms, and some I've already mentioned. Therapy, a support group, talking to friends, being in nature, journaling, doing art projects, participating in any kind of activity that brings you joy. The hard truth about grief is that it will always be with you. However, if you give yourself permission to grieve and mourn, then you can begin to make sense of what happened, create meaning that is empowering, and find agency to move forward. Being with your feelings and finding a safe container to process them is critical. It doesn't take away the uncertainty of knowing how long you'll be grieving or when you'll find your next job, but it puts you on the road to wholeness. So I always like to end with a question. What parts of your life feel uncertain right now? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to drop me a comment. You can also visit me at moonshotmentor.com or follow me on social media at moonshotmentor on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And if you enjoy what you hear, I would so appreciate if you could subscribe to my blogcast, as it would help me achieve my moonshot of 5,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for tuning in.